Now, the NBA and ESPN are major business partners. As we've seen during the pandemic, when the NBA had nowhere to play their games, ESPN/Disney not only hosted the games, but they were able to provide a completely secluded area to make sure that the NBA games were still on, to give ESPN content, while Walt Disney overall as a company was going through certain financial difficulty caused by the pandemic. So best believe that relationship goes hand in hand. And Ja Morant being a major asset of the NBA, they would not let ESPN drop anything to damage his image even more. But in this instance, I don't believe it's that. I believe the league is speaking directly to Ja Morant about this season, but they're using ESPN as a proxy. Because during the segment, they revealed that one of the incidents that Ja Morant got into sort of tied the Memphis Grizzlies and the NBA in that lawsuit, which one of the head of securities for Memphis was around when that incident had happened at his house at that pickup game. So that automatically tied the Memphis Grizzlies and the NBA into that lawsuit. So Ja Morant is wearing the NBA brand no matter where he goes, and it could be taken away at any moment, as we've seen with Kevin Porter Jr. this season. But also through this short doc, the NBA has also sent a few notices to Ja Morant's father. They view him as he's acting like one of the crew members. And they also went as far as to reveal that certain businesses that always welcome Ja Morant to shop and eat, they're afraid of letting him in the same spaces, as he tends to bring in certain entourage members that may harm one of their customers. So this quick 30-minute doc went real extensive. And just going back to how they feel that his father is an enabler. In certain cases, I agree. But the media tends to kind of over-exaggerate when certain players, particularly the African-American players, when their fathers are involved. They tend to not have any leeway when it comes to them for some odd reason. As we could see with LeVar Ball, they called him the worst sports dad in history when all three of his sons either got into the league or were in position to make a lot of money. Even his son that didn't make the league, he had more commercials than people in his own draft class. As the media, sometimes because they don't relate culturally, they always want to go off of the narrations or just certain ideas that they have of certain people, and they sort of try to project that on them. Particularly when certain players, African Americans, have their fathers involved, it's sort of looked at with a very keen eye. Another example of it was when a reporter told Kyrie Irving, does he look up to LeBron James as a father figure, when he already had a father that he looked up to?
And what role would you say his father has played in this? Because he's been a very visible part of Ja Morant's career from the beginning.
Yeah, T. Morant certainly has become a celebrity in his own right. He's a courtside constant. We mentioned the incident with the Pacers in Memphis last year. He's right there arguing with the Pacers alongside Devontae Pack. He got into it with Shannon Sharp at a game in Los Angeles when Shannon Sharp was arguing with some Grizzlies players. He came in, T. Morant, and got involved in that. And again, I think that there have been I know that there have been some concerns within the Grizzlies organization and within the NBA.
See right there, Tim McMahon speaking for the league. Some concerns in the Grizzlies organization and in the NBA. He's hearing the rumbles.
That T. Morant has struggled to find a line between being a supportive father and being part of the entourage, or being a supportive father and being a celebrity. One source put it to me like this. He said, T has been a major driving force in all of this. He never made the NBA, but this was his chance to live like he's an NBA superstar.
And that right there is my issue. That last statement is a complete opinion. But I do believe T. Morant, that incident he did have with Shannon Sharp, that has come back to bite him in the ass. See, now they could tie him into all this. But to say that he's a driving force, he's not Ja Morant. He's not the one going to the strip clubs. He's not the one physically pulling out the gun. But you see, this is what the media tends to do, especially with the fathers. They can't wait to vilify them. We've seen them do it to LeVar Ball and the Ball brothers when they first came into the league. Even though if you've seen a lot of highlights and clips of the family, you tend to see other friends of his come to his house where his dad is cooking pancakes and teaching him how to play basketball. But yet they label him the worst sports father in history. This was said numerous times on those syndicated programs that they got. But this definitely should put Team Morant on notice that you're being watched. There's people drawing certain conclusions about you, and he's probably going to have to take time away from the game. As we've seen, LeBron James' mother went through the similar situation. There were certain things going around about her, and we really never saw her on television for a while. Not until LeBron won the championship in Cleveland. But particularly African-American fathers, sometimes they don't get leeway among the media, especially when they don't fit the narrative of being an absent father. But Kwame Brown spoke on this.
There's a series of events that happened. They wanted me, I know my mom was a little frustrated because when you're black and you're from the black community and you don't have a father there, you have to harp on that. And my mom didn't like the way, I think she was sitting on the front porch and they were asking her questions. I can't remember who did the interview. And they just wanted to talk about how poor she was and how much money we didn't have and this whole weak story, and it wasn't that weak. We didn't have money for a very short period of time, and then my brothers went crazy. And then, you know, that's what happens in the hood. So to me, it's a story of strength. A 14-year-old kid that, how many 14-year-olds would have went and got a job to pay half of their mother's bills without missing a beat, without crying?
So just like how the NBA media sometimes has issues promoting or just marketing certain star players that are international, like Jokic, they're used to the American superstar. They could promote that swag, that typical stereotype that has worked for them in the past for them to make money. It's a similar situation playing out here. They tend to not really know how to craft a story around a LeVar Ball or a T. Morant that's been in their children's lives. They don't really know how to craft the story in order to monetize it. Maybe there's not enough history on that, but sometimes they tend to kind of pigeonhole these guys and they can't wait to vilify them because they know that works, that gets the clicks. So this documentary, even though it's about Ja, it's also an attack on T. Morant. Even though he has never lifted up a gun, he's never done anything like that. He's never really threatened anyone outside of that situation he had with Shannon Sharpe, and Shannon Sharpe was out of pocket. But let's go back to the documentary. Look at the way they framed this question. Either way, the answer was going to make T. Morant look bad, and the question already implied that he was doing something wrong.
And what role would you say his father has played in this? Because he's been a very visible part of Ja Morant's career from the beginning.
It's like the interviewer already asked a question with a statement inside of it. Let's take a listen to that one more time.
And what role would you say his father has played in this? Because he's been a very visible part of Ja Morant's career from the beginning.
Once again, T. Morant, they got a bullseye on you. But at the end of the day, that incident with Shannon Sharpe, just that one little incident, they've somehow tied you into all this. You're the one that's pulling out the gun. You're the one that's messing up your son's image. But that right there is one of the issues that Kyrie Irving, and if you also look back, Kareem Abdul-Jabbar had with the media. A lot of media members are not culturally in sync with the players. So there's a lot of things that they do that the media they misinterpret. And I think a lot of the celebrating that T. Morant does with his son, the media is not really understanding where it comes from. These guys were counted out. He wasn't recruited. Ja Morant was never that player that was perceived as a guy that was going to make the NBA. He was actually discovered by accident. But him and his father, they continued to work and grind. From them waking up at 5 o'clock in the morning, lifting up tires, they both worked on different type of workout regimens. They're just celebrating their spoils. That's all it is. But somehow the media can tie it into other things. And some of the results of this situation shows the disconnect between the media and players. This is why a lot of players are starting their own podcasts. They're only talking to certain people that they feel comfortable around. Because a lot of things by the media, I don't know if it's a mix of them trying to get clicks. There's just a lot of misinterpretations that kind of go overboard. And a lot of media members don't understand. A lot of the players were side-eyeing them for that whole Kyrie Irving situation. The fact that he had to go through a checklist to get back into the league. When he made a comment about a documentary that he's seen, we're not saying the comments are right or wrong, but the fact that nobody even questioned, why does Amazon have it so easy that a documentary that can put certain people's safety on the line, why was it so easy for that documentary to get on Amazon? A documentary like that should have gotten filtered out. But no one asked that question. They just went directly to Kyrie, which Kyrie Irving does not control distribution at Amazon. He just reported on a documentary that he's seen as an Amazon Prime customer. So that right there is the disconnect. But hey, it is what it is. Ja Morant, man, he's got to be on his P's and Q's this season because the league definitely does not want to be embarrassed again. Just him getting into an incident after that Jalen Rose Nike ad interview apology thing that he had, it just made everyone look bad. It made ESPN look bad, Jalen Rose, and the NBA.